Hey everyone, Robert here, author of Expansion Mastery, the practical guide to living a fully engaged life. Are you ready to start living life to the fullest? Are you ready and willing to transform yourself and your life from ordinary to extraordinary? Well, let's get to it, my friends. Welcome to the Fully Engaged Life. Welcome back to the show, everyone. In last week's episode, I discussed the topic of living what you love. And one path to discovering what that is through the Japanese ideology called Ikigai. Right? So if you haven't listened to that yet, you might want to go back and listen to that one. It's really an incredible concept that you can apply instantly to your life and start to find out what you are passionate about, what your purpose is, and really start living a more fully engaged life through this process. Now, around the time that I recorded that show, I had shared a brief video on my personal Facebook page one morning from the famous spiritual teacher who generally focuses on Zen, Mr. Alan Watts. He was always a very clear voice in the spiritual community, especially around translating Buddhist practices such as Zen, and he's got several books out that you can find in any local bookstore or online. So this video that was put together very nicely that I shared spoke of how we are here in essence, yet we are one with the universe, and how the universe is constantly an unfolding experience. And it was very brief. It was just a summary, but it was a nice little video. Had a nice uplifting message without any excessive amount of dogma attached to it. I share those things on my personal page so that if anyone is interested, they can listen. I know some of my friends and family are definitely interested in things like that, so I like to share those things that I find. I don't spend very much time on Facebook anymore. I don't really like the platform, but it helps me stay in touch with friends and family. One of the people that I am friends with on there, and who I actually know personally, left a comment that saddened me a bit. It was very unfortunate. It was honest, and I appreciated it, but it was a bit unfortunate, so I'd like to share that. They left a comment that said that after they have read Alan Watts' books, some time ago, the books on Zen, it left them feeling like, quote, "So what? What still matters in my small space is pulling weeds, feeding the birds, making soup, sweeping the drive, my family, my relationship, expressing myself, and when it's all said and done, going to sleep at night. The universe can take care of itself." And it's very sad because I think it comes off a little more cynical than it was intended, but it still made me feel a bit bad for this individual that they see their life as so ordinary, as so mundane. And there's nothing wrong with all those things they listed. The problem is they're seen as mundane and very small by the ordinary mind, whereas once we begin awakening, we understand what's going on. We actually engage the practices of Zen or some other spiritual system, not just read about it and think we know it. Then we can truly see things in a different light, and our world gets much larger. And we understand that for the universe to take care of itself is for us to take care of ourselves and each other, because we are all part of this. See, the universe, as it's being discussed in this Zen video, is referring to source, to the great field, to what people would call God or something like that, right? It's the totality. And this is one of the things that I keep explaining to people. We falsely believe that our essence, our spirit, is inside our physical body. It is not. It is never separated from the universe. It's still there. It never went anywhere. It's still part of the whole. It's just having this experience that we feel and see and believe to be this human life of mind and body. It isn't our true spirit, our true self that comes down into a body and then goes back. That's merely the perception that we have because of the separation, the dualistic nature of the mind. It is not a spirit or a soul or something that comes down, out of the sky or out of the ether and inhabits something. There's an awareness, because that's what we are, is pure conscious awareness. And it's this focused awareness that is experiencing. This is what's happening. And when you start to understand things like this, not intellectually understand them, but start to engage practices that allow you to interact with this directly through your own experiences, you cannot possibly respond with the notion of so what, because it is amazing to connect with this. So when we see things just so mundane, so of the physical world and nothing larger than ourselves, that's speaking as an indicator for those who live life through an ordinary mind, through ego domination, that sort of thing. Doesn't mean they're egotistical and bad people. That's not it. It's just this part of the mind that has taken control and is living their life, and they don't even realize it, right? I've covered this before. And this is the average mindset of the masses. They just go about their day to day and then go to sleep at night. They just get through another day. See, this is not living a fully engaged life. That is merely existing. This is very prevalent in the Midwest where I grew up, where the paradigm has been pushed over many generations for you to grow up, go to school, go to church, get a job, get married, immediately start a family, which may have something to do with why you got married, work your way up to buy as big a house as you possibly can, out in the country somewhere where you have a bunch of land where you can pee off your back porch. I don't know why that's a thing, but that's a thing. It's important to people in the Midwest that you can pee off your porch. I don't see the fascination with it, but it's a thing, right? People in the Midwest, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. You probably said it yourself. If not, you know someone who has said that to you, right? So that's all part of what you do. And it doesn't stop there. You get your house and you make your man cave so you can escape from the nagging wife and the screaming kids, and you can sit around and watch TV or Netflix or play video games, and then you go out and you buy the cars and the truck, right? Got to have your pickup, and then buy the toys such as an RV, a camper, jet skis, four-wheelers, things like that, right? This means then that you need to work even more in order to pay for all that stuff. So either you become a slave to your job through working all the overtime you can get your hands on, or you get a second part-time job, or you start your own business, all of which keeps you as a slave in the system. So all you do is work your butt off. You barely have time to enjoy all of the stuff you bought with the money that you've worked so hard for anyway, right? And you're just locked into this endless, ceaseless cycle until the day you can retire. And then once you retire, you're probably too tired, wore out, and not in good enough physical health to enjoy much of that retirement anyway. I hope that's not the case, but I've seen it happen so many times. But this is an illusion. that most people believe to be their own desire or just something they do. It's just how you live. This is what life is doing this. But I've got news for you. It's not. Now, I'm not knocking any of those things. For some people, they come here to experience those things. And that to them is heaven on earth. So to those of you, I say more power to you. Enjoy it, get it, do it. But there are others of us who are not meant to live that way. And because we are of ordinary mind, we fall into that life and we just think there's nothing more. We think that's all there is. And our world is a very, very small place. And the ego likes that because it makes a nice comfort zone. And it's easy because you don't have to think for yourself. You don't have to discover who you are or what your purpose is. All you have to do is do what you've been indoctrinated to do and do what everybody else is doing, and you fit right in and you just kind of go through life. So for those who are really experiencing that and thrilled by it, fantastic. You're living more fully engaged. But for other people, if you're just going through the motions, you are not living. You are existing. That means you are supposed to experience something more, something different. This is what I'm getting at. So you can understand, right, when you're just mindlessly following along, well, that's what my parents did, that's what my grandparents did, that's just what we do, this is my family property, I can't leave it, I can't go anywhere. See, that's why people are called sheep, because they're easily herded. They're led along, and they don't think for themselves. They don't really get in touch with who they are, their heart's desire, and really get out there and have the life experience, the adventure that they were meant to have. They just go along without ever experiencing anything more, falsely believing that they are living the dream. But I would ask you this, whose dream are you living? See, it's the ordinary mind that believes that if they read something or they hear about it, they automatically understand what it's all about. The information age has made this even worse, and now as the ego inflates to some severely unsustainable levels, the mind believes that more than ever. All it has to do is read something. Oh, if I know about it, then I already understand it. I get it. Okay? And I wanted to touch on this because as anyone with any real authentic experience with Zen or some other spiritual system can attest, they are experiential practices. Okay, that means you have to engage them physically, mentally, spiritually, everything. You have to engage the practices. Otherwise, you don't understand anything. Okay, so what this equates to is that the only way you can have any true, real comprehension or opinion of the teachings is to engage them directly for yourself. And if you do that, there's a transformation that takes place where you shift from seeing the world through mundane eyes to seeing it through the eyes of wonder and amazement. Then, even when performing the most mundane tasks in life, you are filled with an amazing amount of joy and appreciation. Even if that's feeding the birds, you can see the bigger picture. You can see the oneness. You can see the mystery of life unfolding before you. You can see the part in it that you are experiencing yourself. You are always directly connected to something so much more than yourself, more than your personality, more than your identity. You're connected to your true self. And when you are living from that space, you couldn't possibly utter, "So what?" The universe can take care of itself because you are the universe. The universe is you. Okay, so what does any of that have to do with living what you love? Well, It's very important. See, when we're going through the motions of life, I'm just feeding the birds, I'm mowing the grass, I'm painting the house, I'm just doing all of these mundane tasks. I'm not out there excited about my hobbies and enjoying what I do for a living and just having an exciting adventure of a life. It's a problem. And it is the idea of Ikigai, as well as other ways that we can start to find those things that we love instead of just doing the day-to-day things that we're expected to do, that we feel obligated to do, that we falsely believe is living. We can actually find our purpose, we can find our passion, and we can start to enjoy that all the time. You don't have to feel guilty about it. That's what you were meant to do. You were put here. You came here. You were here to have this kind of experience, right? Your true self is experiencing this. This is what it's trying to experience. The mind gets in the way and can block that sort of experience. So according to an article on savvytokyo.com, and I apologize, I don't have that article in front of me. I'm going off of memory a little bit here. But it was a great article, and it talked about people who have found their purpose in life and love what they live. And they did studies, such as the one in the town of Kyotango in Kyoto, Japan, which seems to have, I think it was 3 times the amount of residents that are 100 years old or older compared to the rest of the country. And they found that these people have exceptionally high levels of DHEA. Okay? And that's, in case you're not familiar, DHEA is a steroid hormone that is secreted by the adrenal glands. And a lot of people tend to view them as the hormone that allows for longevity. So they further researched other areas with large numbers of people who were the age of 100 or over in such places as Okinawa, Sardinia, Italy, and Icaria, Greece. And they found they all shared common ideology of having a life purpose or a hobby that they were passionate about. Now, other factors were included in this as well, such as the influence of mild weather, a healthy diet of real foods, and relatively low stress. So we understand how stress is a life shortener, is a killer. We understand how unhealthy diet is the same way, and unhealthy fake foods, all the processed fast food junk, right? That shortens your life. We understand how severe weather also takes its toll on our body and affects our lifespan negatively. So what they kept finding through these studies is there seemed to have been a direct link between these people and those conditions, in addition to having a life that they were excited to get out of bed and experience each day. That they had something to do, that they felt of value to themselves, to their family, to their friends, to their community, that they felt like they were contributing. You starting to get the picture of the oneness going on here? This is what we need, because it is our nature. It is who and what we truly are. We're not separate individuals. That is an illusion created by the mind through the delusions that form our personality and our identity. So think about this. If you have a hobby that you just love to do, or if you can turn that thing you love to do into your job, that's what you do every morning. Why would you ever want to retire? You know, I tell my students and my clients, I'm going to do this for as long as I'm drawing breath. I'd love to write and to share the truth, the wisdom of the real spiritual practices with people in order that it may serve them, it may help them. I love teaching the martial arts. I love teaching the mindfulness practices and meditation. I'm very passionate about it, as my students and clients can attest. I get into it. I get so worked up with that stuff, and I'm like, can you believe it? How awesome is this? Can you look at the depth of this? Most people never even realize this in life. And I just get so excited, so passionate. And that's why it's so exciting for me every morning that I get to open my eyes. that I draw another breath, and that I get to jump out of bed and engage another day. It's when you just live in life with the idea of being ho-hum, right? Ho-hum, another day, get through the day so I can go to sleep, and that sort of thing. That's when you're just existing. You're not excited about anything in life. Everything is mundane. Everything is just obligatory. That's existing. That is not living a fully engaged life. And if you've read my book, and if you're listening to this podcast, you probably have. And if you're listening to this podcast and you haven't read my book, come on. What are you doing? $5. $5, you can get an autographed copy. Go to my website, www.expansionmastery.com. Go there, put in the code. You can get all the information on the website. You put in a code, save 75% off that book immediately. You can get it right now. So if you haven't got it, you need to get it. Seriously, you need to get it. So if you've read that book, and I'm going to assume that you have, then you know pretty well that once I lived my life in a way that I wasn't living with any sense of happiness. What was the result of that? Well, I found myself looking at everything as obligatory, as mundane. I found myself eating unhealthy. I found myself stressed out to no end. And in this place, the weather didn't help either, because the weather was extremely humid, which my body doesn't agree with. And the weather fluctuates like crazy all the time to where you can have all 4 seasons in a single day, and you often do. All of those things started to take a toll on me. And I couldn't appreciate the life I was living. I couldn't appreciate what I was doing. And what was the result of all of that? Well, it went further to where I found myself dying. Yeah, actually dying. My health deteriorated gradually. And when I look back on it now, I can clearly observe that as my levels of unhappiness grew, so too did my health go downhill. They moved in tandem. As my vibration dropped, as my happiness dropped, my health was a direct reflection of that. Because I didn't enjoy much of anything in life anymore. I felt empty. I felt lost. I felt like I was living a life that was just a waste, that was not meant for me. Something went wrong somewhere along the lines, which I did find out what it was. It's in the book. I'm not going to tell you here. So if you read the book, you know. But I didn't feel that what I was doing meant anything anymore. All the things I was doing, what I was doing at home, as a husband, didn't mean anything. It wasn't appreciated. It wasn't enjoyed. It was tolerated at best. My job didn't make a difference in anything. We were actually told by one plant manager that you guys are a dime a dozen. If you don't like what's going on, quit, because we've got 100 people waiting out the gate to take your job. Right? And I started to feel that even teaching through my school just wasn't having the same impact, and it just wasn't making a positive difference in the lives of others the way I was intending. So I felt that it wasn't making a difference really anymore. And I felt that I wasn't making a difference anymore. I felt that I had little to contribute. I felt that I was not appreciated at any place I was at. And I didn't appreciate myself. Right? That was a huge thing. I didn't appreciate myself. I didn't enjoy myself. I still loved teaching. I love teaching martial arts. It's a passion of mine. I simply adore that ability to share that, because it's something so near and dear to me. The same with meditation and mindfulness and authentic spiritual practices. I love sharing that sort of thing. But there was a shift, and what happened is I just didn't look forward to getting out of bed anymore. And yet I never slept. I would go days without sleeping. And even then it would be maybe 2 hours. And it just wasn't living. I was existing and I was unhappy, and I reached a point where I didn't even want that anymore. I said, I had the thought in my own mind that I'd just rather die than be like this, than live this. This is not life. This is not my life. This isn't living. It's existing, and I don't want to merely exist. And then everything accommodated, right? I attracted it. I was in a vibrational match to it. So, then my life was being taken away. And I did have a death experience because of that. See what I'm getting at? When you can wake up in the morning and you feel appreciated, you feel that you have value, you feel that you can positively touch someone else's life, you feel this mutual love and respect and appreciation for people around you, and you can see that what you're doing makes someone smile once in a while. It makes a tremendous difference in life, doesn't it? Makes a life worth living. And then if you can make that what you're passionate about, it's always going to have that effect on others as well as on yourself. See, it's whatever's happening around you is happening to you. So this is one of the things that I really realized very, very clearly through experiencing it to the most extreme you can. And then once I engaged these practices more fully, I spent time, there's nights I didn't sleep. I would get home from my 12-hour shift at a chemical factory. I would go to the dojo right from work because I was living there, and that would be 5 o'clock. I would teach classes until 9 or 10 o'clock at night, and then I would stay up all night. I would sit on the training floor in meditation all night. I would set an alarm and I would be in meditation all night until 4:15 in the morning, when the alarm would go off and I would have to get up and shower and get ready to go to work for another 12-hour shift. It was a 5 to 5 shift, and we had to be there early for shift change. So I had to get up, hurry and shower, go in. But I was getting up from meditation, not from sleep. Sometimes I would circle walk for most of the night, a bagua practice. Sometimes I would do sword training all night, all kinds of things. And through all of these practices, I started to have these realizations and understand what went wrong and how to fix it. So I took action. And when I decided to take action, I did so with an immovable resolve. There was no turning back. There was no compromising. There was no more sacrificing. There was only one direction, and the direction was forward. And as I did that, my health turned around dramatically once I left all that life behind and started anew. The things that made a massive difference for me was that now I truly loved the person I was sharing my life with. They made me so happy. I moved and I loved where I lived, where before I didn't. And this new climate offered a consistent microclimate of non-humidity, moderate weather, and lots of healthy, natural, high-quality foods. I loved my new job, and I look forward to acting in service of others to the best of my ability every single day. I appreciated all of these things. I love my home life with the person I'm with. I love where I live. I love my job. I love what I'm doing. I love sharing the things with people that I have to offer, because that's the only value I have. That's all I have to give. I have these things to share, and to me, they're incredibly precious. So I try to share them with others in hopes that they can gain the benefits that they afforded me. And in the process, I appreciated everything. And I look forward to getting up in the morning. It's so exciting. Every day is an adventure. And man, there's nothing mundane about my life. Even when my wife and I go to the grocery store, we have an incredible time. We're talking, we're feeling the energy of the vegetables and things to make sure that they're fresh and they feel good. And we know we're putting good things into our body so we can stay healthy and have a longer life. We feel the oneness, we feel the connection to everything, the process that's going on there. There's nothing about it that we could ever say, so what? I get to get up in the morning, and I'm doing some other work as well. So I do other things, again, that bring value to my wife and I and our way of living and things. So there's a lot of things going on, but I enjoy these things, even the things that are challenging for me to learn and figure out so I can implement them, as a revenue stream or whatever. It's still fun. It's enjoyable to do. And when you live that way, you spring back to life. I did. I sprung back to life. I'm healthier, I'm stronger, I'm more vibrant than ever. I'm living a life that I adore with a wife that I adore. And I'm living a life where I could not ask for more. How could I possibly conceive of uttering the words, so what? See, this is part of the purpose I'm living, is to try and help all of you to live a fully engaged life, as I've decided to do, as I've been fortunate enough to do, thanks to all of the practices that have been shared with me over the decades. My desire is that all of you can feel so passionately about your life and to see it as a grand adventure, and that you may never utter the words, so what? I don't care, whatever. And I think it's a wonderful, wonderful occurrence that if we are truly happy and enjoying our life, then a lot of the time we get to enjoy that life maybe a little bit longer. If we're enjoying it and we've figured out our purpose, we're not just wasting our life away, maybe, just maybe, we get to enjoy it a little longer than we would otherwise. Appreciation is tremendously important when it comes to your hobbies or what you do for work. Appreciation and enjoyment are two very powerful motivators for getting your butt out of bed in the morning with a smile on your face and a spring in your step. Don't settle for ordinary. Don't settle for less than what you truly desire and deserve. Those who do never attain the ability to live a fully engaged life. The path to attaining this ability to live a fully engaged life is right at your fingertips. It's right there. Will you grasp it, or will you allow it to slip through your fingers? The choice is yours. But I'll tell you one thing. It is so much better to live a life where you can wake up in the morning and go, yes, as opposed to saying, so what? Please visit me at www.expansionmastery.com. Grab your copy of Expansion Mastery for only $5 there. All the details are on the website. Or you can get the Appreciation Mastery program, which will help you appreciate your life more, help you find your purpose, all of that stuff. It's an amazing program. I cannot stress its importance enough, especially in this time that we are in. And get ready for the next episode. It will be episode 200. So I'm going to try and make it a very special one. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope you keep tuning in. Please help share this podcast. Support it on YouTube by subscribing, doing all that sort of stuff. Make sure that you're sharing it with friends, family on Facebook and Twitter and all those other things. And support us through social media in order to spread real, true spirituality and allow us to accomplish the consciousness shift. Till next week, my friends, with that special 200th episode, I wish you the very best in your practices and in your life. Take care.